Hello, teachers. It's good to be with you again, talking about Matthew 9 and 10, specifically the calling of the 12 apostles and how apostles are representatives and witnesses of Jesus Christ. So this is a really applicable lesson for our students, and it's good timing being just a few weeks before General Conference. We've been talking the last few weeks about improving student participation and discussions. And a great principle that we need to remember is that if we can lay the foundation for good student participation, then our discussions and the activities we do in class will be better because we have a stronger foundation. So there's an example of that in today's lesson that I want to highlight. First off, just to give you an overview, it begins by letting students kind of self-assess their feelings about the Quorum of the 12 and how well they follow modern apostles. Do you sustain them? This would be a private activity, but one that I think is good to talk about. Again, there's some questions here that you could use about what sustaining are, and then this little survey right here, A, B, C, D. I like that scale, not using an F, but obviously grading themselves in these three areas, whether or not they believe the apostles are very important, whether they want to hear what they have to say, and could they share one or two things that the apostles have recently taught. So kind of grading themselves on that would be a great self-assessment as you jump into this lesson. When you jump into the meat of the lesson, we're going to see the Savior identify a problem here, and then commission or send forth his apostles to heal and teach the people. And so we'll read those 3 verses in Matthew 9, and then right here, 8 verses in Matthew chapter 10. There's also a Doctrine and Covenants reference. So this is pretty good. Again, select a couple of questions here to ask your students. And then we switch the lesson kind of towards 2023, modern times, and we're going to talk about modern apostles of Jesus Christ and how that works today. This is a really great video right here. It recommends using the first 5 minutes and 41 seconds. That will cut the video about 45 seconds short. What happens in the last 45 seconds is just a few people saying happy birthday to President Nelson. So you could cut that part off, and really this would be a 5.5-minute video about President Nelson and some of the things that he's done in his ministry as a prophet. I think it's a great video. Then we come to this activity in the lesson, and it's a good activity, but we want to lay the foundation so that this can be successful. Maybe even a better variation of it is found down here in the supplemental resources. So let me scroll down. Right here, it says, invite students to present a very brief biography and selected teachings from one of the current members of the First Presidency or the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. I think that's a great activity. Now, to lay the foundation for that, there's some resources. So scrolling back up to that point in the lesson, it suggests these resources right here. The Living Christ, the Testimony of the Apostles, Special Witnesses of Christ. And when you click on that link, it takes you to this page right here where there are some bios available of these apostles. Again, we could click on M. Russell Ballard and we could see a little information about him, his personal life, his professional life, as well as over here we can actually link and go to all the conference talks that Elder Ballard has written. So again, that's a great resource. Or going back to the lesson here, recent General Conference addresses. The thing about that is all 3 of those options are going to take some time. And if you want to have a really good discussion with your students, we need to lay a good foundation. It needs to be something they can do in 5 or 10 minutes in class that would then springboard into a really great class discussion. So linked down below this video are going to be some bios that I've prepared over the years that I use in my Teachings of the Living Prophets class when I teach that for my Institute students. This is what the bios look like. So this will be in a PDF down below. There's one for each apostle, and the source material for this is the Ensign article when they were first called as an apostle. So when they're called in General Conference about 4 or 5 months later, there will be a biography written usually by another member of the Quorum of the 12. And so I pulled out of that article just some facts and figures about their life. Here you can see things about Elder Christofferson, where he served a mission, how he met his wife, how many kids did he have, professional life, when they were called as an apostle. And then come on the second page are some quotes, experiences that they've had in their life or things that people said about them just as they were beginning their calling ministry as a member of the Quorum of the 12. And then you'll see here a reference on the article where I got that from. I have 15 of these, one for each of the current apostles. You could give a student one apostle and they could prepare a bio from this information, because they could select information they find interesting from their life, and they could even pick one of these experiences right here. That's something that they could really read and prepare in just a few minutes. So again, that activity found here in the supplemental material is a good one. And if we can lay the foundation by giving them some good source material, that they can prepare a very brief biography and maybe a selected teaching or two, then they can present that to the class. They could share it in small groups. If you have a class of 15, there'd be one per student. If you have a class of 5, maybe this is an experience you repeat as you get closer to General Conference. Another idea here is to help students prepare for the upcoming General Conference by having them study the life of one of the apostles and maybe creating a quiz for them about that apostle for the class. Another thing you could do is have them study that biography, share something in class when you teach this lesson, and then prepare a devotional that they can then share leading up to General Conference that would focus on a teaching or some aspect of that apostle's life that kind of highlights that apostle as you go into General Conference. And again, if you have a smaller class, that's a way to incorporate some of the other biographies that you didn't get a chance to use with this lesson. So again, teachers, I hope that's helpful. As we lay the foundation for our activities in class, then the students will be more likely to participate, the discussion will be better, and the spirit will be stronger. Thank you for all you do, and have a great week.